William Saunders Crowdy, an influential leader of the late 19th and early 20th centuries, founded the Church of God and Saints of Christ in 1896, promoting the belief that African Americans were descendants of the ancient Israelites. His influence led to the growth of significant branches such as the Church of God and Saints of Christ under various leadership and early black Jewish movements, inspiring figures like Rabbi Arnold Josiah Ford and Rabbi Wentworth Arthur Matthew. In the 1920s, Rabbi Matthew established the Commandment Keepers, integrating African traditions with Judaism and impacting New York's religious landscape. In the 1960s and 1970s saw the emergence of the One West camp, known for its strict interpretations of Israelite identity. This movement later split into modern groups like the Israelite Church of God and Jesus Christ and other factions, each with its different beliefs. Contemporary branches include modern Israelites focusing on inclusive outreach, non-Messianic Israelites who uphold Torah observance without acknowledging Jesus, and Torah-only Hebrews who strictly follow the Torah, rejecting New Testament teachings and Christian elements. This is the story of William Saunders Crowdy. Born into slavery in 1847 in Maryland, young William Saunders Crowdy's early life was defined by relentless toil and cruel conditions imposed upon him and his family. Yet his sharp eyes revealed a glimmer of hope, a sign of a spirit that would not be broken. While other children succumbed to the weight of labor, Crowdy's mind raced with dreams and questions, seeds of the man he would one day become. His teenage years were marked by relentless toil and harsh conditions, shaping the resilience and sharp mind that would define him. Forced to work from a young age, Crowdy experienced firsthand the brutal realities of enslavement, witnessing the exhaustion and despair that claimed many around him. Yet even in the face of these, he stood out. The Civil War shook the nation, and when the last battles were fought, the chains of slavery were finally broken. For Crowdy, freedom came like a fresh breath after being underwater for too long. The collective sigh of relief from freed families mingled with the tears of joy and uncertainty. In this new chapter, Crowdy stood at the threshold of possibility, knowing that life would demand even more courage now that liberty was within reach. As a free man, Crowdy set out to carve a life for himself. He toiled under the hot sun as a farmer, mastering the rhythms of the earth. He worked with his hands as a carpenter, building not just homes, but a sturdy character marked by skill and tenacity. Every hammer swing and plowed field was a lesson. These days of labor taught him more than survival. They taught him resilience, leadership, and the subtle art of bringing people together. It was a moment in the vast fields that would change his life forever. Crowdy, while deep in contemplation, had an overwhelming presence come over him. He heard the whispering of ancient secrets that only his heart could hear. It was here beneath the vast silent heavens that Crowdy experienced his first vision. It was not just a dream, it was a divine call that stirred in him an awakening and a purpose that he hadn't fully understood until that moment. He contemplated what had been revealed, that African Americans were the true Israelites of the Bible. He sat and pondered what was he to do next. The next day, with a newfound resolve, Crowdy took to the streets, the fields, and the church steps. His voice carried a fervor that was impossible to ignore. "We are more than we have been told," he proclaimed, his eyes locking with each listener as if transferring a spark of that divine revelation. The crowd leaned in, drawn by a man whose passion cut through their doubts, filling the cracks left by hardships with the mortar of hope. Crowdy's message was a relief for many who had felt rootless, disconnected from a history that had been stripped from them. His teaching, linking their present struggles to the resilience of an ancient lineage, offered a bridge to dignity and identity. The quiet nods of understanding and of agreement were the first signs that his vision had found fertile ground. Knowing that mere words were not enough, Crowdy set about creating tangible spaces where people could gather, share, and learn. These meeting places were humble at first, a barn, a room in a friend's home. They buzzed with the energy of new beginnings. Within these walls, neighbors who had once exchanged only glances began to see each other as kin, united by Crowdy's vision. Crowdy's gatherings were marked by an atmosphere of openness. He encouraged questions, debates, and the sharing of stories. Your voice matters here, he would say, urging even the most hesitant to speak. These dialogues wove a tapestry of shared experience, teaching everyone that wisdom came not only from books or leaders, but from each person's unique journey. Understanding that words spoken were fleeting, Crowdy set up a modest printing press. The hum of machinery and the smell of fresh ink filled the room as pamphlets were produced, each bearing messages of empowerment and unity. These pamphlets traveled further than his voice ever could, landing in the hands of those eager for a new vision of themselves and their place in the world. Family events at the community gathering were filled with warmth and tradition. Elders recounted stories of survival and quiet heroism, their voices rich with emotion. Young eyes widened as they learned of ancestors who had endured and adapted. These moments were more than storytelling, they were an inheritance passed down, solidifying a sense of identity. Crowdy led by example, showing that faith in words meant little without action. He organized efforts to care for the needy, delivering food and warm clothing to those who struggled. Service is the soul of the community, he would say. Handing a loaf of bread to a grateful mother, these acts of kindness rippled out, reinforcing bonds that could not be broken by hardship alone. Festivals erupted with color and sound as drums beat out the rhythm of joy. Children danced, elders clapped, and voices rose in songs. It was here in these celebrations that the community's pride shone brightest. They were no longer just individuals, but a collective united by a shared story that Crowdy helped them rediscover. In his later years, Crowdy's hair had turned silver, but his eyes still gleamed with the same fire that driven him all those years ago. He watched as younger leaders stepped into roles of responsibility, their voices steady and sure. With a nod, he knew his life's work would continue, carried on by those he inspired.